That was a great interview, Jeff. Now finally, where can I find your website?
I don't have a website.
What?
I just never got around to making one.
You know what? I can't take you seriously with an attitude like that. I am extremely disappointed in you. To not have a website is irresponsible, lazy, you lack ambition. I mean, where's the vision?
Don't be like Jeff. Be responsible. Get out there and shine with a beautiful website by Web Orchard, where they will take care of all of your website needs. Go to theweborchard.com right now and get a beautiful website you deserve.
You know what? Get out.
Hi guys, and welcome finally to season Charlie of the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Had a bit of a break. My life kind of fell apart. So this season is delayed by about 3 weeks, but it's here, and there's so much to look forward to. If everything goes to plan and I get the guests that I really want, I feel like this is probably going to be the best season of the Shrewsbury Biscuit since we went to seasons, that is. And so I'm very excited, and I'm glad that you're here. Today's guest is very important to this season because this is season Charlie, and I thought, what better way to start off things with a Charlie? And so we have got the great and powerful, the amazing Charlie Adlard on this episode, and I'm really happy because we started talking about this podcast at Shrewsbury Comic Con. Remember we did that bonus episode way back in March, I believe it was. And Charlie was really excited because he was creating a book, not a comic book, a book. And he was like, oh yeah, it's coming on really, really quickly. I was like, yes, we'll definitely get you on the biscuit. And then I kind of had a break. My life fell apart. And we're finally bringing you this interview. And I'm so happy. It sounds amazing. We recorded this in House Coffee in Coleham, one of my favorite places to be. You'll find me mostly sort of slumped in a corner, my face attached to the laptop where I'm editing some audio stream or making some artwork. It's one of my favorite places to go, but it was my first time interviewing there. Now, I love a good coffee shop. I think it's not only is it a Shrewsbury sound because we're such a coffee shop cultured town, but like, it's one of my favorite ways to record because I feel like the ambience and the noise of the coffee shop surrounding the interview, it kind of invites the listener to sit at our table. It feels like you're sat on our table listening to the conversation. So very happy with this episode. Really, really pleased to finally get it off the ground. So I hope you enjoy it. But before we go into it, I'm going to play the new intro for season Charlie, which I absolutely adore as well. I feel like we're in school. I'm going to play you a piece of music now. Close your eyes and listen in, children. This is a great piece of music called What I Miss by Josh Lobley, who's going to be coming on as a guest. He's part of the Irish Rovers. If you've heard them, they've been about doing lots of festivals and events. They are about at the moment crazy amount. So I'm very pleased that we can use some of Josh's music. But I really, really like it. So I hope you enjoy this new intro. Make sure you give Josh Lobley and the Irish Rovers a follow. Listen to the music. I mean, the reason this exists is because I was looking for music for the car series we were doing with Greenhouse. Shout out to Greenhouse. And Josh sent me some music. And this particular song really got me thinking about things, you know. And now it's like part of my playlist. So happy to share this with you guys. This is the start of season Charlie, and this is Charlie Adlard. I hope you enjoy. Hi guys, and welcome finally to season Charlie of the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. Had a bit of a break. My life kind of fell apart. So this season is delayed by about 3 weeks, but it's here, and there's so much to look forward to. If everything goes to plan and I get the guests that I really want, I feel like this is probably going to be the best season of the Shrewsbury Biscuit since we went to seasons, that is. And so I'm very excited, and I'm glad that you're here. Today's guest is very important to this season because this is season Charlie, and I thought, what better way to start off things with a Charlie? And so we have got the great and powerful, the amazing Charlie Adlard on on this episode. And I'm really happy because we started talking about this podcast at Shrewsbury Comic Con. Remember we did that bonus episode way back in March, I believe it was. And Charlie was really excited because he was creating a book, not a comic book, a book. And he was like, oh yeah, it's coming on really, really quickly. I was like, yes, we'll definitely get on the biscuit. And then I kind of had a break. My life fell apart. And we're finally bringing you this interview. And I'm so happy. It sounds amazing. We recorded this in House Coffee in Coleham, one of my favorite places to be. You'll find me mostly sort of slumped in a corner, my face attached to the laptop where I'm editing some audio stream or making some artwork. It's one of my favorite places to go. But it was my first time interviewing there. Now, I love a good coffee shop. I think it's not only is it a Shrewsbury sound, because we're such a coffee shop cultured town, but like, it's one of my favorite ways to record because I feel like the ambience and the noise of the coffee shop surrounding the interview, it kind of invites the listener to sit at our table. It feels like you're sat on our table listening to the conversation. So very happy with this episode. Really, really pleased to finally get it off the ground. So I hope you enjoy it. But before we go into it, I'm going to play the new intro for Season Charlie, which I absolutely adore as well. I feel like we're in school. I'm going to play you a piece of music now. Close your eyes and listen in, children. This is a great piece of music called What I Miss by Josh Lobley, who's going to be coming on as a guest. He's part of the Irish Rovers. If you've heard them, they've been about doing lots of festivals and events. They are about at the moment crazy amount. So I'm very pleased that we can use some of Josh's music. But I really, really like it. So I hope you enjoy this new intro. Make sure you give Josh Lobley and the Irish Rovers a follow. Listen to the music. I mean, the reason this exists is because I was looking for music for the car series we were doing with Greenhouse. Shout out to Greenhouse. And Josh sent me some music. And this particular song really got me thinking about things, you know. And now it's like part of my playlist. So happy to share this with you guys. This is the start of Season Charlie, and this is Charlie Adlard. I hope you enjoy.
Every time I think of that, I think of what was said and done. I don't think there's much change. I think I'm still the same. I'm sure some people disagree, but I don't care 'cause I am me. Stick to what you can, stick to what you plan.
Hi guys, this is the first episode of Season Charlie. Just to explain, after 400 episodes, I thought I'm going to start doing seasons, and it seemed really silly to start from season 1 after 400 episodes. So we're Alpha, Bravo, now this is Charlie, and I thought it'd be really good to start off Season Charlie with a Charlie. Today, that's how simple my brain is, Charlie. And today we've brought on our good friend of the show, Charlie Adlard. And the last time we spoke to you was at Shrewsbury Comic Con. That was like last year, wasn't it? I think, or was it the beginning of the year?
Beginning of the year, wasn't it? It was March.
Yeah,
Can't remember. Yeah.
That was quite cool, wasn't it? That was a really good event, I think.
It was fun. Yeah, it was nice to see. Yeah, man, it wasn't spectacular, but it was nice to see something happening. You know,
you're not going to whack a massive MCM in the middle of Shrewsbury, though. I mean, I think
that's a few years yet.
Yeah. Comic Cons are. I think it depends what you're going for, isn't it? Like if you're going for the pure comic book stuff and the local talent, I think little things like that. Would you agree that they're kind of really important as the MCM stuff? So your Walking Dead stars and your Netflix series and your Umbrella Academy stuff.
Yes, I mean that's the ones I prefer because obviously that's what I do. You know, obviously with my affiliation with The Walking Dead, there were lots of opportunities to do the monster shows, but
thank you.
But I tended to turn them down because I just don't like them. I prefer to be a large fish in a small pond rather than the opposite. So, and no, it's just that's what I do. I'm a cartoonist, and comic book shows are my thing rather than the massive multimedia things because I just can't relate to that. So, yeah, and all power to those ones that really try and promote that side of what, obviously, of what we do. And of course Shrewsbury is a bit of a buzz for comic book artists now and writers, of course. There's loads of us around, believe it or not. You can't move in town for bumping into some comic book person, you know?
Yes, I do. Just to add a bit of context to what's going on today, we're recording at House Coffee in Coleham. This is one of my favourite spots to come and sit and disappear into my laptop. And there are many occasions I've seen Charlie in here. I've actually come up for air and seen Charlie in the corner of the room.
There I am. Well, it's only just down this my local as well. It's just down the road from where I live, so.
Yes, this is the an epicenter for me in a way, because Timmy goes to school across the road, and I used to live around the corner in Bestford.
Yeah, of course.
And just to come and sit, I call it being socially unsociable. So I come in here, I open my laptop, and I disappear into the thing, and I edit, make art, whatever I need to do. And I feel like I was chatting to Sam, the proprietor of said coffee shop, and he was saying there's so many people that come in and just disappear into whatever they're doing from all walks of life.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I can totally get that sort of vibe with it. It is a very unique place, not just this place, but all sort of coffee shops. I don't know what it is primarily about that sort of cafe that you don't get in. I don't know, you don't get that in a pub, you don't get that in a more of a restauranty sort of place, or a greasy spoon, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a sort of a vibe to these places where people want to come and work.
Yes, and drink good coffee.
And drink good coffee.
And drink good coffee.
Yes.
But that's Shrewsbury culture, and I've done so many great interviews in coffee shops, sat right next to a grinder. Daily Brews, that's a great example. Where I like to sit in Daily Brews is right next to the grinder, like where they queue up. Because I remember years ago, I was a kid, I went to the courthouses in Liverpool. The old courthouses, it's like a museum. And you go down there, and they turned the cells into a bit of an interpretation space. So you go in the cells, and you'd hear the conversations that might happen in the cell. And I thought that was really, really interesting, because what were conversations like back then? And then I remember as well, I was messing around with bits of audio and editing and stuff, and there's this great file of BBC sounds, and you get old cars and old conversations, people walking down the streets. It's a snapshot in society, if you think about it. These background noises you're hearing right now, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know how it works. It's funny because I love my coffee, and we've got a bean to cup expensive machine at home. Yeah, I still like to come out. I can easily make the same sort of brew at home, but there's something about I don't know, it's the sociability of sitting, and it's nice just to connect with people, even if you, like you say, even if you don't talk to them, you feel like you're part of society, part of the community, I think.
It's nice when a place reflects on you as well. I remember chatting to Mike Perkins about the first night, the amazing comic book that he created, and he's included the Loopy Shrew in that. I was like, what? That place is it's like a staple in his mind. He's gone in there and he's thought this place is lovely, and he's even included it on one of his comic books. You know what I mean? So what you've done with this new book that you brought out, the coffee shop by Charlie Adlard, which looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm looking through your book now, and I'm seeing these snapshots of you in a coffee shop, and you're looking at a scene, and you're drawing the scene, you're taking it in. What makes you want to do something like that while you sat there?
Well, the very long potted history to this book, and this is not a comic book. First and foremost, let's say that this is a book of sketches, a book of illustrations, a few paintings, things like that, all set in 3 coffee shops. This one that we're in here, House Coffee, the Shrewsbury Coffee House, which is opposite the station, and Sea Suns, which can you argue that's a coffee shop primarily? It's more of a restaurant, but to be honest, I love the coffee in there, so I chose that as my third.
I think if it sells coffee and you can go sit and have coffee,
well, there's amazing coffee and it does amazing food. There you go, big up the Sea Suns. But how long ago? I used to way back, pre-pandemic, I used to go life drawing. And one of the main reasons I spent my time live drawing, and this was Tuesday evenings at the Hive. One of the things that kept bringing me back to live drawing was a pure illustrator's mindset, which is, I can get a book out of this. That was my inspiration.
Ka-ching.
Well, yeah, not necessarily ka-ching, but I think the difference between fine artists and illustrators is one thing and one thing only. Fine artists can go in their studio and just go, what can I do today? And just start painting or sculpting or whatever. An illustrator needs a project, and I need a project. I can't physically go into my studio and just go, if I haven't got anything else to do, I can't just go, I'm going to draw some comics today. What narrative can I draw? So the whole impetus to live drawing, I needed it to be purposeful, shall we say. So therefore I decided, right from the sort of session 2 or 3, that eventually I'd publish something. So I did. I published something. It was done in conjunction with Lakes International Comic Art Festival, which is probably my favourite comics festival in, I say, not just the country, probably the world. So they were kind enough to sort of co-fund that with me. But it got me thinking. Once that came out, it was just basically a collection of my illustrations, simple as, no words, nothing. The only kind of, text was a couple of introductions and a little thing at the bottom of each drawing saying how long it took.
There's one here that says, I want someone to look at me the way I look at coffee. I love that.
There we go, yeah. So I did that, and as soon as I finished it, I thought, I was really inspired by doing that. So I thought, it'd be really good to do a similar book, but sat in a coffee shop and just drawing, life again, but life slightly more guerrilla style, because obviously when you're doing life drawing, it's pretty obvious you're there to do the one thing, and you have this kind of relationship with the model, because obviously the model knows you're drawing her or him or whatever, and blah, 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 whereas this is a bit more sort of sitting in the corner, quickly scribbling something down, hopefully no one will know, because as soon as somebody becomes aware that you're drawing them, that there's a different connection, there's a weirdness where they suddenly will freeze up and go into a pose, and you don't want that. So that was my plan. Anyway, pandemic hit, so obviously you couldn't sit in coffee shops, and then I just got really busy afterwards, and at one point I just remember thinking, this ain't going to happen because I'm just doing my normal day job, inverted commas. And then at the beginning of this year, to cut a very long story short, because it's already very rambling.
No, I love it. It's great.
I was set to do a project which I basically walked off because it just wasn't happening for me, etc., etc. So I had this thing all lined up for a whole year. Suddenly, I had nothing. And first day, I remember getting up thinking, great, for once I've got nothing to do. What can I do? This is brilliant. I can read, I can listen to music, I can watch a movie, anything. And I can do anything. By the end of the day, I was like, I've got nothing to do. So, I need something to do. So I came back to basically coffee shop. It was one of those things where I just thought, while something else sort of comes up or whatever, while I'm waiting for something else to happen, I can capitalise on this and do this book I've been promising to do for myself for the last, 4 or 5 years. So from sort of end of February, I kind of decided that, right, I'm going to do a concentrated sitting in coffee shops for 2 months. Not totally, because that would be weird. And I'd have drunk so much coffee that I wouldn't be able to function after about 12 o'clock. So I thought I'll do 2 or 3 sessions a week, sat in coffee shops, these 3 coffee shops, and then I'll take loads of photographs, take them home, work on the studio, but with the mindset that it's in that environment. So I limited myself to the time and the time to take to draw each picture. I didn't want to take forever. I didn't want to I do not want to treat it like a finished piece. I try to replicate the feeling of sitting in a coffee shop, even though I sat in my studio. So giving myself time limits to draw whatever or paint whatever. And of course the advantage to that is I could do a bit of colour as well, because bringing paints and whatever into an environment like this is all well and good, but by the time you've set up, your subject matter might have drunk their coffee,
and
had
gone.
a meal, been there for an hour and gone home.
It's not really a snapshot then, is it?
Not really. Yeah, so I kind of limited what I was doing in coffee shops, just pencil work primarily. Everything else, I do a bit more pencil work at home, but I do pen and ink, which was quite nice to do. I got into doing that at Live Drawing, so it was nice to return to a more rough pen and ink sort of technique. And I did a bit of digital painting and a bit of watercolours at the same time, so it's a real mix of different mediums. The book was finished.
Did you have to pace yourself? I remember being sat in rival coffee shop time, but I remember being sat in Stock Cafe years ago. Another place when this place closed on a Monday, so I'll go over there. But I remember being sat there doing some editing, and I was there for about 3.5 hours. Big job I had to do. Sometimes I'll do like episodes where there's different conversations that I need to snip together into one rhythm, and that's what I was doing. And I remember like the lady, she'd bring me my third and my fourth coffee, and she was like, Are you all right? And she's like, this is like your fourth shot of coffee, and I was drinking Americano. So I think she expected me to sort of shake out the door.
Yeah. Can your hands actually hit the correct keys anymore?
Yeah.
Or is it always a random sort of, 5 keys around that key? It could be anything now.
So yeah, my question to you is like, did you like have to like limit your coffee intake? Or
Oh God, yeah. I
rattling out the door.
As much as I love coffee, I could never do. I tend to limit myself to one a day, but I can go to at a push. But it does. I find it does. For my work, it does kind of, it does affect you. So I didn't want to. The advantage was what I do for this book is completely different to what I do sort of for my normal comic art, because it's fast. You try not to think about it. Very similar to Live Drawing. You just want to get the imagery down. Which is a great way of working because it really frees you up. You don't think about what you're drawing. There might be a lot of wastage, but there's that real sort of life to it, and that's what I was even back home in the studio. That's what I was trying to capture is that freedom. And God, I wish I could draw like that when I'm sat. At the drawing board proper doing narrative stuff or at my doing digital whatever. I just get too anal about it after when I'm doing it, inverted commas, for the money. I think it's just for the money because you're being paid to do it. There's a thing that just clicks into your head and just goes, you need this to look good. You need this to look good. And you try and get rid of those thoughts, but it's hard.
Especially if there's like a particular narrative attached to the picture. We use Walking Dead as an example. So you want Negan with blood dripping down his face, looking menacing. Like you've got to put a lot of effort into something like that. Whereas these are snapshots, like I said, they're like quick.
None of that.
None of that. Yeah.
None of that blood.
And like I guess Walking Dead isn't like exaggerated like your average sort of comic book Batman, Superman. They're kind of based on normal characters, but there is that kind of chiseled look from like.
Well, I've always lent my art I've always been more inspired by the, shall we say, I've never got the right word for this, but should we say the more illustrative side of comic book artwork. I've never really been into the big sort of in-your-face superhero stuff. My favourite kind of country, shall we say, for comics is France. I love what they do. It's called bande dessinée, and over there they've got a different approach to like as opposed to manga or the American comic book scene. It's a lot more calm. It's a lot more. There's always a sense of place. It's a lot stiller. There's more variety in styles. They're more accepting of sort of more crazy kind of expressionistic or impressionistic styles, things like this. So I've always gravitated towards that. I've always gravitated towards sort of 60s and 70s sort of magazine illustration, things like that. That floats my boat. or film poster design, things like that. That's floated my boat more than staring at an American comic book, as much as I've worked in that industry. But of course, The Walking Dead was that. It was all about character. 16 years of doing that book, and really the zombies weren't that important. It was all about the people. So I was doing 10 times more pages of people just talking to each other than people beating zombies up or whatever. So, and post Walking Dead, I've been obviously very lucky that I can pick and choose my projects afterwards. Everything has been very sort of along those lines. I gravitate towards the more, shall we say, drama, intimate kind of character stuff than the sort of the big brash action stuff that really doesn't get me excited, unfortunately.
Did you learn anything from the? You must have collected a lot of content while you were doing this. Lots of drawings that maybe didn't go into the book. Hundreds of them, maybe. I don't know. But did you learn anything in your journey?
Well, I learned that I really enjoy it. I mean, it just. I think it just. I think I learned the fact that this is a kind of more of a direction I'd like to go in, even with narrative stuff. Just like I said to you before, it's that freeing up, and the sort of the liberty you get with something like that. Funnily enough, there isn't much wastage with Coffee Shop. There was a lot of wastage with the Life book because that was based on roughly 4 years worth of life drawings. So you can imagine the pile of life drawings I had, and every session you'd come away with at least 8 or 10 drawings. So a lot of stuff to shift through. This time I think because again mentally I was thinking, well, every drawing has to count. Which is slightly counterintuitive to what
That's when you trip up, isn't it? That's when you can.
Yeah, which is slightly counterintuitive to what I was saying about doing, sort of just the freedom of just drawing and seeing what happens. But I kind of took it to a level where at least I'd draw it and go, that'll do, that's fine. So, and I knew I only had roughly 2 months because I knew we wanted to launch it on a certain day. I wanted to get out this year, which we'll talk
Very
about.
quick.
Yeah, so I knew that I'd only really be able to do, from February through to, sort of end of April, in the beginning of May. That was it, and then get it to a printer, design it, co-designed it with the same guy that co-designed Life with. Because he's a great designer.
The book, the Coffee Shop looks fantastic, and you're saying a kind of a great expense. Like the perfectionist of this, the way you wanted it a certain way, I absolutely adore. I think that the fact that you wanted it a certain way.
Well, there is a touch of vanity publishing, obviously. I was prepared to spend more to have something. Well, it's an obvious thing to say. Spend more to have something that I'm pleased with. It's as simple as that, and to have something that I'm proud of and that's beautiful to look at. I love books. I love books. Not necessarily to read. I know that sounds again
but to look
a bit of a weird to look at. I just love the look of books. I love the design of books. I love the way they look on shelves. So I wanted that book to sit on a shelf and be part of a book collection.
It is a great looking book, and I was explaining to you before we hit record that whenever we go to Colombia to see my wife's family and stuff, they have this culture of, I don't know if it's the UK or if there's a difference, but I noticed it more when I was over there that they have coffee tables and like big attractive looking books on there to I don't know, just to look good, I guess. But this is definitely a coffee table book. It looked good sat
a coffee table book called Coffee Shop.
Yeah,
it all links.
And I noticed that you do put a lot of effort, because I remember the LP, the Cosmic Rays one that you did when you designed that. I didn't get one of them because I was broke at the time. I was like, oh man,
there's still some available.
I will definitely. Yes, that was beautiful. Such a beautiful cover.
Thank you.
What is it about? Because I've written here, not stopping, because you're one of the busiest guys from the outset. I see you working a lot with local charities and doing lots of work there. You've obviously got a full-time job. You're working things like this. You're busy. You're travelling. What do you do to relax? I mean, because you seem to be busy all the time.
Well, my job is my relaxation. It's as simple as that. You know,
love that.
I've been very lucky to, I think most cartoonists, painters, whatever, would say that, my hobby is now my career. And so if my hobby, it always still is a hobby. It doesn't become something unpleasurable as soon as you get paid to do it. It becomes even better, doesn't it? So, that's my relaxation.
Has that always been you though? Always energetic and lots of I want to be working. I want to be making. I want to be creating.
I think I proved it to myself that I don't want to just sit around and do nothing. As I said to you that day, where I walked off a project and the next day I literally had nothing to do, which obviously is quite rare for me. And by the end of the day, I was desperate to do something. I think I need to achieve something every day. I think that's kind of my main.
That makes a lot of sense.
My main mantra, and it's even if it's a weekend and I'm just literally relaxing. I need to have done something that I could say I've achieved, X or whatever. So working, inverted commas, on whatever, or choosing to do coffee shop was the perfect way of sort of solving that problem for me whilst I wait for the next project or the next thing. And it's great to have got it out. And now I have. It's kind of weird. I feel like I've got it out of my system now.
That's good.
Whether I ever return to doing something like that, or whether it just manifests. It will probably manifest in something I'm doing. I am working on something which I can't really talk about at the moment, which is with a writer. And I thought I've sort of added elements of my style, or it's not really a style, it was just a necessity, the speed of drawing coffee shop into this thing I'm doing.
I am so impressed with how quickly you got this out. I remember we spoke at Comic Con about March. You were like, I've got an idea coming for a book, and
I've probably just started it.
And then like 3 months later, it's done. Oh, you got the proof here. Like that is so quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I sourced a great printer, a guy in Frankwell. So I was trying to localise everything. And obviously I haven't had the copies back yet from the printer, but they should be in the next couple of weeks. So, I might as well, now we're talking about the speed of getting it done. In October, I think it's Friday the 4th, I think.
Okay.
Is that Friday? Is the 4th Friday? I think it is. Have a look.
I'll have a look.
just so we get this right.
October the 4th, let's have a look. October the 4th is a Friday. That's good hindsight.
There we go. So we've got the big launch then. We're having it at the Soden Gallery at the top of the Cop. Top of Wild Cop. So that's kind of going to be the launch, the private view or whatever. We're going to put loads of artwork, obviously, in the gallery, so that will be there for sale. The book will be out on sale. It'll be on sale obviously the gallery. It'll be on sale at all the 3 coffee shops. I'm sure there will be various other places that will take it. It's a small print run. It's a local book. Let's be honest about it. It's not going to sell the thousands. So at the moment, I haven't thought about doing it as sort of more commercially than that, putting it in shops. We have got a barcode on the back just in case we do, But at the moment, we're just going to sell it locally. But the prime reason for doing this, which I haven't mentioned yet, is that as soon as I thought about doing this book, I decided I wanted all proceeds of the book to go towards the Hive. Now, a Hive I've already mentioned, which is a local community arts centre in Belmont. And that's where I did my life drawing. I'm a patron of the Hive. I think it's a fantastic art centre. It does really good work with well, with just youth. But it does a lot of stuff for underprivileged kids and sort of people with learning difficulties, etc., etc. For the first time in its existence, and it's been around for decades, it's in real trouble because it just relies on charity money, and funding. For the first time, they're really struggling. Again, it's been a product of the pandemic, for whatever reason. But they've been finding it really hard to secure, sort of the big, they've got somebody that goes out there and looks for, sort of funding and everything. But everything has just sort of, just not been happening for them. So, there's a big Save the Hive campaign out at this moment, and hopefully this book, like I say, will go towards to help the Hive. So basically, anyone that buys a book, the full price of the book will go towards the Hive. So we'll probably retail it for £20. So the full £20 will go towards the Hive. Any artwork we sell at the Soden Gallery, that will go towards the Hive. That'll hopefully a few people will pick up stuff like that, and hopefully because it's got the for charity tag to it, a few people might dig deep in their pockets for that. So that's kind of the raison d'etre, for doing this at the end of the day.
It's always heartbreaking when it's something like the Hive that's in trouble because of what it does for the community. I don't want to try and school people on how important art, culture, music and media is. People already know this because of during the pandemic, remember when they were doing what was it that they were doing? The retrain for what they were trying to saying, instead of being a ballet dancer, be an accountant. Instead of being a comic book artist, do this. That caused a huge outrage because it's so important. Like what I was talking about earlier about just conversation, background noise. That's society. That is your pinprick in that. Like when it comes to art and culture, that is also as important. So
there wouldn't be any of this if we didn't have art and culture. So people really do look. People don't really get how important art is, and the problem is as well. As soon as there's cuts, as soon as anything, it's the arts that suffer first because they are so, so regarded, so little regarded. So, to be able to help something like the Hive and to have it gone, it would be so terrible because that's it. Then there's nothing. And, you just think to have nothing of something that should be so important just seems absurd, especially in a place like Shrewsbury, which is quite. There's a lot of art going around here. It's quite an arty place. Not just in us bunch of cartoonists swanning around. There's a lot of fine artists, a lot of painters, sculptors. You just have to go to one of the drawn festivals to see.
Big shout out to Cherie and the guys at Drawn.
Absolutely, to see how much stuff there is locally, and not to have the Hive would just be a travesty. So I'm really, hoping that the book will do well. Everyone, buy the bloody book. Keep the Hive going.
And I want to apologise to Cherie as well, from Drawn, and the guys from the Hive, Save the Hive. I've been kind of hiding in my little shell, trying to get my life together. So I haven't been able to get out and get involved as much as I used to. But what I want you guys to do, the listeners, is take a look at the Hive, Shrewsbury, Google it, give it a Google now, find all the steps that you can to help the Hive, get involved with things like this book, and I know there's events coming up, and if there's anything that you can do, even like sharing a post on social media, that helps, it raises awareness and gets other people involved, so do your best to help these things.
And of course, with the book especially, you're helping the Hive. You also get something as well.
I'm taking pictures of Charlie I hate taking the pictures while we're doing the interview. It's so invasive.
But you get a beautiful thing. You've spent £20, and I keep emphasising that whole £20 will go towards the Hive. I'm not taking a penny for this.
And if you buy too much,
it would be absurd to.
If you sell them out, you might do a coffee house too, coffee shop too.
Well, there might be a second print run. Let's not get carried away.
Is there anywhere in Shrewsbury where you walk by and you think, I'd love to I'd love to get a doodle in there. I'd love to like step in there and because it's quite a picturesque place in Shrewsbury. Like it's nice.
Oh, well, funny enough, weirdly, the last couple of years, the Hive again, because like I say, I'm closely involved with them anyway. I've always done a set of Christmas cards for them.
I've got some of them at home.
Yeah, there you go. And so I think the year before last, I just did some illustrations of various buildings around. So that was sort of a set of 4 cards. Last year, I did the bridges of Shrewsbury. So that was, well, it was fairly obvious which bridges those were. Yeah, I'm sure so long as life's here in Christmas time, I'll do something else. So I have sort of gone around and doodled things like that.
Do you know what I'm doing? I'm imagining Charlie without anything to do, and he's just walking around because like you've explained about the coffee shop and the life drawing, like wandering around. What can I draw? Must drive the family crazy. I'm exactly the same. I tried to force myself because I started a new job. I did my first 12-hour shift in a factory. I love what I do. I came home and my legs were sore. My wife was like, right, day of relaxation the day after, right? So I thought, do you know what? I've never played Red Dead Redemption 2. So I'm going to throw that on. I'm going to sit and relax. I can't. I was on my laptop. I was writing emails. I was doing art. I can't just switch off like that.
No.
I've got to be active all the time.
No, exactly. And having a day where... And it's been more... I mean, it's hitting that happy medium, I always find, because... As I keep saying, post Walking Dead, I've been very lucky that I can pick and choose what I want to do. And if I don't want to work, it's not going to, financially, it's not going to be a problem. So I could easily just sit around and watch movies and read or whatever, But yeah, I just can't do it. I need that kind of inspiration every day, something I can just go, oh, I did that today. Yeah, that's satisfying. I think at the end of the day, I feel like I have to earn my relaxation.
Yes, 100%.
And if you've done nothing in the day, you haven't earned your relaxation.
Yeah.
You're just purely relaxing. That's not relaxation anymore. I like to earn every day, sort of, whether it's just for the evening or then I can sit down and watch a movie, because I feel like I've earned my time. And
totally feel you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's product of being a freelancer, because
possibly,
I think we still always have that freelance mentality. No matter how much you've earned, no matter how well you've done, I still think you've got that thing in the back of your head going, this could be the last thing you do, And the fear of that is quite palpable.
Do you reckon that's what drives your perfectionist when it comes to your art? Is that drive to say there's going to be people looking at this all around the world? It's got to be right.
Well, weirdly, I find it easier to do a drawing for hundreds of thousands of people than it is to draw for a few people.
All right.
It's the equivalent. It's the equivalent to, because as we talked about before, I'm in a band as well called Cosmic Rays, and I play the drums. I don't think it's the equivalent to performing when you're really young and your mum and dad go on, sing for Granny or whatever. It's just literally you and one person, where you've got to please that one person. If you're doing it for 20,000 people, you're not going to please everybody. So it's kind of, well, what the hell then? I'll please some people, And it's the same with drawing. It's one thing I don't like doing, and I never do it because I don't like doing it, is commissions, because I know I've always got to please that one person.
Yeah.
And I have worked with people. I've been working with a friend of mine who's a musician, and I've been doing his album cover and things like that. And as much as I've enjoyed working with him, it is a kind of, it's the two of us. So I've got to literally please him as opposed to please hundreds of people. When you're pleasing 100 people, not everyone's going to like it. So in a lot of ways, it's easier. You just go, well, if you like it, great. If you don't like it, just don't buy it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. You know, you can't say that to one person.
No, it must be incredibly difficult. But and I'm the same. I've stood up on stage in front of thousands of people before, no problems whatsoever. But like, if someone, yeah, you're right. If someone, this is like three or four people, and they're like, "Oh, Alex, do the thing with a weird accent." Yeah. You do that. You do a great German accent. Go on, do it. And I remember like, I used to do voices for On the Left Side, which is a funny football comedy podcast. For Ant McGinley, big shout out to Ant. And he used to be like, can you do German? Can you do Brazilian? Can you do this?
Right.
And I used to love that. But like being in my studio on my own, trying to get that right, it would take so long. If I had someone to reflect off me, to say, that's bad, that's this, that's the other, that would be better. But I feel like you need that kind of clarification. So like when you're spending hours on a beautiful piece and then you send it off for whatever you're doing, and it comes back comes back with notes. How does that feel for you? 'Cause it must be a right pain.
Yeah. You see, again, half of me, well, not half, I mean, this is the decision I made, again, post Walking Dead, was I don't really want to do too much for the big publishers because, A, you don't own the stuff, the characters, and B, you're doing it more for a committee, so you're going to get more interference. I've been quite lucky. I mean, the odd thing I've done for people, they've just gone, yeah, that's great, you know, but I can imagine it might not be.
Yeah.
So the smaller, it sounds awful to say this, but the smaller the company you work for, or the less money you're getting paid, the more power you have creatively, because you can say, no, I'm doing it this way. Oh, you don't like it? Well, I could just leave, you know, and then they'll be like, ah. So generally speaking, you know, it gives you that sort of extra bit of, you know, oomph. When you're working for, you know, sort of, shall we say, more independent people. Yeah. But again, you try and avoid those conflicts anyway. So you're trying to link yourself up with the right-minded people. You know, I did last year. I did a French. It was my third original bande dessinée called Altamont, and it was based on the infamous Rolling Stones gig from 1969, which was a complete disaster, and it's cited as that and the Manson murders as the thing that killed the sort of the hippie ideal. We didn't want to do a story about Altamont. This was based on a very vague idea of mine. I just wanted to tell a story set at Altamont about another set of characters that go through their own sort of Heart of Darkness journey. Now, a story that's specific and that kind of stylistically has to be in a certain way, and it's not particularly commercial, you know.
Very niche.
It's basically half the book are the main characters going on a road trip in a VW van to Altamont. So, you know, it's not in-your-face action all the way, you know. I needed a very specific writer, and I needed a very specific publisher who would get it, you know. It's not the sort of thing you take to Marvel, you know.
No. But I feel
so that's kind of how I operate in terms of selecting what I do, and you get yourself with the right people, there won't be a problem.
How are like the fans, like when you like social media, when it comes to like the Walking Dead fans and then the fans of the more niche stuff, like you've explained, those different types of fan sets, how they communicate? What is that like for you? Because I was talking to someone about Star Wars fans, which is completely like irrelevant, but I was talking about how Star Wars fans are actually quite awful. Like they're racist, they're sexist. I was like,
nice, okay.
I mean, not all of them, but I mean, is there a particular subset of fans that you enjoy, don't enjoy? How do you deal with that?
Well, I've got to be very compromised.
Alex Whiteley ends Charlie Adlard's career right now in House Coffee.
I love them all. No, I mean it's a completely different sort of set of people. I've got to admit, when I'm signing, and still 90% of the stuff that people put in front of me will be Walking Dead stuff or the next commercial thing, most commercial thing I did since The Walking Dead was kind of a horror book for a smaller publisher called Boom, called Damn Them All, which was a 12-issue series. And that's probably the next thing I get because of it, and it's quite recent. But anyone that plonks a copy of, say, White Death, which is a book I did 30 years ago with Robbie, our first creator-owned book together, or someone puts an Altamont down, or one of the many other sort of creator-owned books I've done over the years, none of which have sold, literally, you knock off a couple of zeros in terms of what The Walking Dead have done in terms of numbers.
Naturally.
I'm kind of slightly more appreciative of those.
It's quite poetic, isn't it?
Well, they've sort of, you get the feeling that they've delved a bit deeper, or they might not know who I am, have just picked up this book and loved it, and either way, you kind of have a slightly deeper appreciation of that. Not that I'm dissing the Walking Dead fans.
No, I think people understand what you're saying.
It's because that's the stuff you're really passionate about. If someone else is really passionate about it as well, you obviously will gravitate slightly more towards, because you get so many people who come up in our industry, especially with American comic books, who are just getting you to sign multiple copies of stuff and things like that, and there's no passion there. It's just they might be collecting it all for themselves, but there's that. I mean, I've got it a bit myself, I know, but there's, when you're just getting an artist just to robotically sign every sort of thing you've ever done, and I've got a couple of fans that literally have given me every single thing I've ever published, and with Walking Dead there's a lot of it, and you just go, oh God, are you just doing this because, why are you doing this? Surely wouldn't it be better to have the one copy, your precious copy, the one that you've got signed, and you frame it and you put it on the wall or whatever, rather than having 20 drawfuls of these comics all signed or whatever? Are you ever going to pull them out? I don't know. It is the collector's mentality, and I do sort of understand it in a lot of ways, because I can be like that myself.
Yeah.
Not that bad, but I can be like that. It's like, oh, this has come out. Oh, it's number 4 or something. I need the other 3. That sort of mentality.
My son is getting this very much the same, especially with TV shows. He has to finish it. He can't finish. Like, we're watching Community College. It's a great show, but it kind of, when all the big stars leave it, it starts losing its quality, and we haven't finished it. He's like, we need to finish it. I can see that coming in him.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I remember, because I'm the same, I like the sentimentality of just having someone sign something. When you came to speak to me at mine, when we spoke with Tom Bruno, Thor Skin podcast years ago.
Oh God, yeah.
And we got a couple of the annuals, and we got you to sign them. I did it on the inside, and I was like, oh my God, you're supposed to do it on the outside, aren't you? Because I'm not used to getting people to sign stuff. But then I was like, actually, no.
Does it matter?
It's there. It's for me. It's personal. I'm not going to sell this thing. I'm not going to hang it up on the wall. It just exists for a thing. But yeah, I get that. And there was Mark Hoppus, I think, it was Mark Hoppus from Blink-182, and there's a guy still outside with an LP, and he asked him to sign it. He's like, name a song from Cheshire Cat. And he couldn't, so he was like, no, I'm not signing it. Because people do get to sign things and then sell them on, don't they?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, the two... as this goes back to what I was saying right at the beginning about not doing monster conventions, I did 2 what they call Walker Stalker cons, which were at the time when The Walking Dead was its highest rated TV show, and it's like top of the charts and everything. It was basically a Walking Dead convention, and it had toured America, and it came over, to London a couple of times, and so I went, I was invited, so I went down, had my table, twice. It was I did it one year, then I did the concurrent next year or whatever, but I didn't do it again. I think they did another 1 or 2, I can't remember, but I didn't come back because I just found it really soulless. I couldn't really relate to the fact that people were basically paying to get in. It's a bit like the Shrewsbury Food Festival, where you pay to get in and then you have to pay more money to eat the food. And it was a similar thing to that. You pay to get in, quite a lot of money, and then everything else is charged. There's nothing else free. You're basically paying to get in the room with people. And, but I was convinced that a good third of the people in my queue didn't even know who I was. It was just because I had slightly less people than, I don't know, Andrew Lincoln across the way or whatever. And so they saw, well, his queue will go faster, and they'll queue up. And then they realised they were actually getting something from mine as well because they were getting a sketch.
And that's
So it was a case, that was the ultimate sort of like, you could ask half the people, go, do you know what I do? Do you know my significance sort of thing with the walk? I'm not just an artist sort of doing doodles of,
there would be no walk stalker if it wasn't for me and Robert.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I can just imagine now you walking through a room with Jeffrey Dean Morgan and they're all swamping Negan, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. You're like, hold on, there would be no Jeffrey Dean.
There would be none of you. You wouldn't exist.
I mean, he did do well with that character too.
Well, you ask. I mean, I've got no problem with this whatsoever. But you ask the majority of people. If you say The Walking Dead, I'd say 1 in 10. If you ask them, did you know it was a comic before it was a TV show? That 1 in 10 will go, oh yeah. The rest will go, no, really? I don't blame them for it because TV is so much more prevalent than comic books.
Sure.
But even though it says it right at the beginning, the credits.
I had a conversation with someone today who didn't even know what the TV show was, and I was like, "Wow, okay,
that's
you're
fine.
Well and firmly under a rock, but that's cool. You do what you need to do."
If you don't like that sort of thing, why would you know it existed?
Exactly.
You might not watch those streaming services that it's on. I mean, certainly don't mind people that never heard of it. That's kind of. It's kind of quite refreshing.
But it's like I feel like there are categories of things that exist in the world that you can put to one side to savor for later. Do you know what I mean? There are things like people keep talking to me about Dexter as a TV show. I would like to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. Put it to one side. I will enjoy it. I don't want to rush it because somebody's told me to. Do you know what I mean? I will enjoy it.
Yeah.
When it's there. In fact, if somebody leans more on something, it makes me want to not watch it. You know, I'm kind of like just to be a little bit spiteful. I don't know. This book. Are you tempted to do some special editions, sort of signed editions of this?
I will obviously sign any book that anyone. I mean, I'll sign the books. Yeah, when we're at the gallery or whatever. I mean, there is no. I'm not going the comics route. I'm not doing special editions or anything like that malarkey. It's a book for crying out loud.
And it's doing its job, isn't it?
I will sign every single copy if needs be. All you have to do. It's not that hard to bump. If you buy it from a coffee shop and I'm not in it, the coffee shop that is. I'm sure you'll find me at somewhere. It's not that hard to bump into me.
One of the things I explain about you is that you are like you are such a big deal when it comes to like art and comic books in this town, but you're so approachable as well. You're decent. I mean, I can walk up to you and say, "All right, how's it going?" You'll have a conversation with me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't swamp Charlie on the street. Don't be chasing him around Shrewsbury. But Look.
At the end of the day, I'm a cartoonist, and I'm not a film star. I'm not a I'm not a pop star or whatever. I I am comfortable in my own skin, and I know people. I know that there is a bit in me that thinks that I know that more people know me if I'm walking down the street than I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But everyone has their own personal space. It'd be crazy if everyone's stopping you, going, "Oh, you're," whatever.
Where do I know you from?
Yeah, but at the same time, I know that it's still a small amount of people. It's not a fame. I'm famous if I go to a comic event. I'm not famous when I come out of it. It's as simple as that. I might get recognised. I mean, I was in Paris last week. We sort of turned it. It was a bit of a family holiday because my kids are grown up now, so we rarely get the chance to all four of us sort of go anywhere. So all four of us. So there was a reason to going actually, which was the Pompidou Centre had this massive comics exhibition of from 64 through to 24, as in the years, and it was a big retrospective, and I was really, really honoured they asked for a piece of Walking Dead to go in there. So, it's probably the only time I'm ever going to have some work in a major art gallery, because anyone that doesn't know, the Pompidou Centre is pretty much the Paris equivalent to my mind's gone.
The Louvre.
Well, no, not the Louvre. Tate Modern. Thank you. In London.
I can't get the way you were going. I went too far.
God,
with the
that was
Louvre.
a struggle. I completely.
It's up there with the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, no. But we stayed in a hotel, so that was my main reason for going, and it was an incredible exhibition. If anyone's into comics, it's worth making a trip to Paris just to see that. But because the French, they put on they when they do a comics exhibition, they do it.
They go all out.
It's all out. It's pure. It's not just pictures on a wall. There's atmosphere. There's things playing. It's all genre-ized, shall we say? It's just really well done. But where we stayed, which was near Notre Dame, there were 5 comic book shops in that area. So I knew there was a few, but I didn't know it was 5. So I went into I was in 2 of them, and the staff were respectful actually. No one sort of came up to me, but as soon as I went up to them, they would go, "Oh yeah, we know who you are," sort of thing.
Oh really?
So, but that just shows. That's just an example of how your fame is. Of course they're going to know who I am because they work in a bloody comic shop. So it sort of stands to reason. And one of them, literally, I'd signed there in February. So
he's back.
Yeah, he's
come back.
bloody back again. He can't stay away. So that made even more sense. They know who I was, but So I mean, it's one of those things you kind of know if you're in the right environment. That's.
It's nice that you got that bit of modesty. I remember watching it's like a YouTube short of some YouTube gamer guy who's gone viral or whatever, and he's got a hoodie on, and he walks into like a GameStop or whatever it is, or a game shop in America, and he whips out his hoodie, he's like, "I'm here," and no one recognises him. It's so cringy. It's brilliant. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Well, see, that's the thing. I wouldn't, because of my age, probably. I wouldn't know a single influencer on whether it's social media or YouTube or whatever. I wouldn't know any of those. It just goes to show, these people have got millions and millions and millions of followers, and they are famous because they appear on, various celebrity get me out of here's and all that sort of stuff now, and I'm going, who's that? So it works both ways. You kind of think, well, I accept my kind of fame for what it is, and these people, these people are exactly the same, because I would walk past them in the street and just think they're just a normal person.
TikTok famous or YouTube famous is not famous. It's like,
well, not to me, because I'm of a certain age, and fame to me is film or TV or music fame, not this new medium.
I think if Mr. Beast walked down Pride Hill, I think all the young ones would go running up, and all the people.
You've already lost me there. What's that? You see?
Exactly. There you go. Mr. Beast has got like the highest following on YouTube, one of the highest, and he does. He'll give like somebody like $10,000 if they win a competition for something.
Oh, okay.
He's quite cool. Bit controversial at the moment, though. I mean, there's lots going on around that. But,
right.
So with the music, are you doing? I mean, I've just been chatting to Jimmy Kebab from Loopfest. He was like, he wants me to come out and meet him on Friday, because we've got a meeting for Loopfest, and he's given me some tickets for who is it? It's I feel bad. And, it's Lack of Afro are playing Albert Shed, so I'll be going there on Friday.
Oh, I got an email about that. Yeah. Well, funny enough, that he actually auditioned to be our bass player at one point.
Really?
Yes.
He's a good guy. He's full of energy, isn't he?
Oh no, he's brilliant. I really like him. But I mean, I think what he's done with Loopfest is incredible. I mean, this
Agreed.
year, when was it? May, wasn't it? Early
Yeah.
May. I thought the atmosphere there was incredible in town. We were lucky to play. We actually, because we're not very together as a band,
You've got lives outside of it.
yeah,
all.
we got on sort of as a cancellation. So we ended up playing the Frankenville bar at sort of 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we were still playing as people were coming in, but by the time we left, it was full, and it stayed full for the rest of all the venues stayed full for the rest. And I just thought, oh, this is brilliant. And you could wander around, go into the idea of wandering around, going to any pub and see some music was great, and I've always been in bands, as you know, that done their own music, which is always a hard work for a band because,
Oh, mate, play Mr. Brightside.
well, exactly, yeah. So, no one's interested in watching new music in pubs, and the pubs are certainly not interested in taking on bands that do their own thing. So it's always hard work to get gigs. But Loopfest just proves that, there are loads of bands out there that do that sort of, do that kind of thing, which is great. So I've already talked to him and said, put us on at a decent time next time. We're putting ourselves forward now. I've filled in the form dutifully as well, properly. I've done it through official lines as well.
So if you're listening, Jimmy,
have a word with him
Sort
if you
this
see
out.
him. When you see him, just remind him Cosmic Rays won a decent slot, which is not his fault at all.
No.
But no, it was. I went to Glastonbury this year for the first time. Well, the second time. I was there 30 years ago, so I was determined to go this year because it was my 30th anniversary of going to Glastonbury, and it kind of. I know this probably sounds like slightly over-egging the pudding, but it really did feel like in town over that weekend. It felt.
Oh, wow.
It felt. It had the same vibe.
there was like an electric in the air, wasn't there?
Yeah.
So like a
Yeah,
little bit of a
definitely.
butterflies in your stomach kind of thing.
Well, they both shared the fact that you pay your money, but then everything is free within that.
Yeah.
Unless you're buying drinks and stuff. Glastonbury's it's the only festival still that has that similar vibe. You pay your money, okay, be it. It's very expensive, but once you're in,
Go watch what you want.
do whatever you want. You can bring your own drinks in, but you don't have to spend any money. That's the
Yeah.
thing. And no, it did feel very vibey in that way.
Well, I suffer from social anxiety. Like, there's the big events that I really need to store up my energy and then go to. Do you know what I mean? But Loopfest, I know there was a few jitters before I went, but as soon as I started getting momentum, as soon as I was in and around musicians and doing that thing and going from bar to bar, I was in my element. Honestly, it's one of the events that I go to and actually enjoy while I'm in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like the walls are closing in on me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if I've got a microphone in my hand, it's so much better. But if I'm in between those sort of, I've got to build up the energy to go and do the interview. I've got it. But Loopfest was great. I loved it. I think it was so good. So.
Well, it was the only one because we did the gig and we just carried on doing, watching bands for the rest of the afternoon and everything. It was the only time this year that I actually thought, because it was obviously it helped because it was a nice weekend, wasn't it? But it also helps that I'm in walking distance of town.
Yeah.
But I just, mid-afternoon on the Sunday, I just wandered in on my own just to go and look at a few bands and stuff.
Nice.
And funny enough, ended up doing 2 interviews just because people, like the organisers, that's the thing, when I bumped into Jamie, Richard, sorry, I'm using his real name.
She doesn't mind.
Yeah, and then one of his sort of co-partners,
One of his cohort,
it's sort of one. Yeah, I walked around with her a bit, and we, did an interview, and then bumped into somebody else and did an interview. So it was kind of nice. It was really nice. But I really wanted to go back in and experience the same. God, you're getting a lot of free publicity here, Jamie. I hope you'll be very appreciative of this.
We digressed hard onto Loopfest, so there you go, Jamie. And we'll be back, and Cosmic Rays will be back too.
We will. Well, we're playing Heel Festival
Heel.
in a couple of weeks' time.
I'm kind of undecided. Should I go to that or not? I don't know.
Well, we'll probably play and just
I would like to, I think. I'm going to be at Oktoberfest. I'm going to be at Comic-Con this year. We've got a studio being set up there. That's really good. Lots of things. I want to get active again, get that momentum going.
Cool.
Speaking of momentum, this is out now. Well, it's ready to go soon.
Will be out October the 4th, Soden. It'll be available, like I say, all the coffee shops that I've drawn in. It will be available at Soden Gallery. I'm sure there'll be other. Just look at my socials, etc., for if you're want to see where else it'll be. At the moment, I mean, you'll probably able to personally get it from me if I'll set something up to make it easy to buy. Somehow. I've never done this before.
And remember, all the proceeds go to the Hive, which is I can't illustrate enough that it's a good pun there. I can't illustrate enough that it's such a great cause. They do great things, especially if you've got a child up there at home who's just drawing and everything and just absolutely obsessed with art or music or anything. The Hive is the place they need to be.
Go. Yeah.
You can hone in on that skill.
You meet your fellow passionate people there. Absolutely. No, it's a great place.
Charlie, if anybody wants to sort of follow you and sort of follow your tracks and keep up with the work that you're doing, where can they sort of see your work and keep?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and might be coming off X soon.
I deleted mine. I remember.
I am. I've had enough of that. Shall we say platform?
I posted something innocent. It wasn't even political. It was just like I'm going to such and such, and it was just like tirade of just right. Oh, it was awful.
Oh, right. It was the Musk Trump interview was the kind of final nail in the coffin for me. So I was thinking, do I really want to be associated with this? So
it's imploded.
So basically that. My I've obviously got my website, charlieadlard.com. If you want to see, that's where you can see all my past work, and I do post occasionally new stuff when I can. So I'm about there, here and there.
Thank you so much, Charlie, and thank you so much to Sam and the guys from House Coffee for letting us do this today. This is one of my favourite spots to come and just be sociably unsociable. Yes. But it's the first time I've recorded here, and I'm not going to apologise for the noise in the background, because that's the reason why me and Charlie decided to do this here today, is to capture that. This is the environment.
Beyonce.
Yeah, it feels like you're sat at the table. You listen in, tune in, guys.
There we go.
Hold around.
Lovely. Yeah.
Get a drink. Thank you for chatting to me today, Charlie.
My pleasure.
Stick around, guys. I'll do a little outro, and then we'll say goodbye properly. But yeah, cool. So there we go. The first episode of Season Charlie exists in the world now, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. I'm so happy. Thank you so much to the staff at House Coffee. It is one of my favourite places to go, and I'm really happy we got that episode sounding the way we did. So you guys were really accommodating. Thank you so much for that. Make sure you purchase the book, especially if you care about arts and culture in Shrewsbury. And also as well, if you have a young one who is obsessed with art and music, the Hive is definitely the place to get in touch with and get involved with. They do so much to bring young people in, whether it's for art or music. And also as well, if you want to help out, go to the Hive website and take a look at ways you can get involved. It really is important to keep things like the Hive alive, and the generosity of Charlie giving all the proceeds of his book towards that means that it not only is it a beautiful product to buy, but it's got a great meaning behind it. So make sure you support it. Alongside the Shrewsbury Biscuit, I've released another podcast called The Biscuit Guy. It's a project I tried to work on last year, but kind of flaked out because I had so much going on in my life. But because so much has happened over the last couple of months, I realised I really need an opportunity to sort of yell at clouds and have a bit of a rant. Whether that's a positive rant about something somebody's passionate about, or whether someone's really annoyed me and I need to just vent. I've lifted up the family-friendly barrier. It's, I wanted it to be a bit more mature so we can have a bit of a swear and relax. And so that exists in the world now. I've got 2 great episodes out as I'm recording this with Tracy Morgan, who is a great author. She does autobiographies about John Candy and around that era of TV and movies. I absolutely encourage you to check out the book Search for Candy. It's really cool. We also have Ad Dribs, who's an amazing musician from Telford. So, yeah, I encourage you to look out for The Biscuit Guy and give that a listen. It's going to run alongside the Shrewsbury Biscuit, and they both have their separate purposes, because the Biscuit Guy can speak to anybody about anything, whereas the Shrewsbury Biscuit is kind of limited to its locality in a wonderful and creative way. Thank you so much for supporting this episode, for tuning in. If you're not already, you can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok. The X account is no more. I deleted that. We got a bit rough on there. But I am putting a bit more effort into Threads, which is a strange thing for me because it was never in my routine to tweet. So using sort of Threads is kind of a similar premise, but I get used to it. But we're on Threads too, so... Right then, I'm going to get out of here. I've been chatting to you guys for over an hour. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you catch the next episode, which is all about hydrogeology. You want to know more about what that is? Make sure you tune into the next episode. Have a great day, guys, and peace out.